The camcorders, you walk around.
Yeah, we're the really long extension cord.
Yeah.
You're tripping everybody with the extension cord.
So how many of you get this joke?
Oh yeah, I know. That's so funny.
It is funny.
I can't even see it.
How about Kevin? I have you come in on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't remember Initech?
You guys know that one?
Oh, yeah, Office.
No.
Yeah.
That's such a good movie. It's so
Never read
dumb. Yeah.
I remember
Office
Office Space. It was like one of my favorite movies. 'Cause
Yeah.
I read Jennifer Aniston is it, and she's like totally hot.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, but they
Even
It
now.
still is.
Yeah.
50 years.
She was just she was so funny in that movie, and
Yeah.
great comedy. But and I just remember when those guys were walking up to the I think it was the printer or the copier.
Oh,
Yeah.
you beat it up?
Yeah, and they're listening to gangster music and these white boys, and one of them's like an Arab dude. And they're walking with the bats and stuff
Yeah.
like this. They're looking all bad, and they start beating the crap out of this thing. And it's in slow motion, you know. It just made it really funny. It was
When
like-
they walk away, then he comes back.
They thought they were all gangsters. Yeah. You have to, if you haven't seen that movie, it's one of the funniest movies ever.
It's like-
What's the name of it?
Yeah.
Office Space.
Office Space.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Alright.
But that mug is funny because the manager has that mug and he's just
Yeah,
a jerk.
the manager walked around, and this was the name of the company that everybody worked for.
Okay,
In
now
a
that's
tent.
funny.
Yeah,
Kevin's
that's
walking
right.
around with it.
So I'm walking around with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I need
that's
you
funny.
to come in this week.
Right.
So he has like a really soft voice and he takes his time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and he was really annoying guy. He was like a creeper. Anyway,
Wearing glasses and.
so let's get started. We're going to talk about today the maintenance agreements, and you know, this is the cornerstone of what we do in the industry. I was talking to Thomas again yesterday, and he goes, "Man," he goes, "Are you guys busy?" And I go, "I don't know. You know, we had I don't know 7-8 calls yesterday." And he goes, "Dude," he goes, like he's working for a large company, right? And he goes, "Dude," he goes, "I had like almost only one call last week."
Fuck.
I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "It's freaking dead." And I was like, "Wow, you know, that's weird." Anyway, so I guess we're doing okay considering we're not spending a whole hell of a lot of money because we don't have a whole hell of a lot of money. But one of the things that is keeping us busy is the maintenance agreement, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today and how important those things are. You know, there was a period of time in the industry where we didn't do stuff like that. It just didn't happen. You know? We figured out, and the industry finally figured it out that hey, you know, you want to give away basically, and that's what we're doing. We're almost giving away the service, right? Because we're spending, if you're doing it right, you're spending at least an hour and a half in that house, minimum, right? You want to be there about 2 hours and build some rapport. Worst thing that can happen is you'll get a good review, right? And that's what this is about. So I'm going to take it from knocking on the door to getting in there, you know. So and then what you're going to say once you arrive and everything else. So, you know, there's a lot been said about, you know, where you park and things like that, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, that matters. You always want to ask the customer when they come to the door, you want to introduce yourself, you want to say, hey, my name's Kevin, and I'm here today to whatever it is, right? You're going to let them know what you're going to do, right? And by the way, is my car parked okay? You know, so is my truck is that a good spot? Because they might be expecting somebody, maybe an elderly person, you don't know, but here's the thing that it does do, it shows that you're a courteous person. It sets the stage right away, right? So now you're already endearing to that person because you asked a question like that, you know. So I just want to make sure I'm parked okay over there. And they might ask you to move. I've had that happen to me before. Yeah, you know what, can you move that, you know, can you park in the driveway? And I'll back into the driveway, but I want to let my engine hang over because I don't want anything to happen, or I could throw a tarp under it or what have you. But usually I don't want to park in the driveway, even when people have to say it's okay to park in the driveway. If you do, if that's the only spot, then like you're in Laguna, there's no parking.
Mhm.
Then get out a tarp, throw it underneath the engine, and then again, you're expressing, you know, you're setting the stage right there, you're setting the tempo, you're setting, you know, the tone, if you will, about how this is gonna go and who you are. You care about their property, right? And people, again, I always say this because it's so true, people don't care about how much you know until they know about how much you care, okay? And then that's just in life in general, right? People want to be cared about, right? So that's a good way to start. You let them know, hey, I'm going to be going through this, I'm going to be going through that, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be doing that. I want to go into all the rooms. This is HVAC we're talking about now. In plumbing, I'm going to go into all the bathrooms, right? And you're going to let them know step by step what's going to happen, okay? So a lot of times it's 90 degrees out and you're doing a furnace tune-up, okay? That happens in California, right? We always have those 90-degree days in October. So I think we're about to have one coming up here in a few more days. We had one yesterday, right? But we're doing furnace tune-ups. So guess what? I know it's hot in here right now, but I got to turn on your furnace. So if you need me, open up some windows and doors. But don't worry, I'll turn the air on. We'll cool back down after I'm done. It'll only be on for a little bit. Because some people might have an objection to that. And it's hard to do a furnace tune-up without the furnace on, right? I mean, think about that for a minute, okay? So you always kind of walk them through it. One of the things I want to drop real quickly here is that let them know also in the beginning or somewhere near the beginning. It doesn't have to be when you knock on the door. It's got to be, timing is important, right? Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, you're going to be getting requests for a review today, and it's really, really important to me that I get 5 stars. If for whatever reason, before I leave today, I'm going to ask you if I earn the 5 stars, and if not, I want you to be honest with me because I'm trying to grow here as an individual. I want to know why, and it's okay because I got thick skin. You could be honest with me, and I want you to be honest. You know, you just lay it out there. Again, you're setting the tone, right? You're telling these people like I care. You know, I care about what I do. I care about how I do it, and I'm in your home. You know, so and people don't get that. You know, they don't. Every other worker that comes in there, trust me, they haven't heard this before. Okay, unfortunately, and that's what happens is, and I get lazy too sometimes, but it's really easy up front to set that tone, so that you can start to build some rapport later on. Because that's what's going to happen is you're going to start to build on that. And right now you're just laying the foundation, right? About how this is going to go today. You let them know how much time it's going to take. Really critical. Because what do these people think at half the time? How long do you think they think it's going to take?
30 minutes.
Yeah. You know why?
They have no idea what it is all we're
No,
doing.
because somebody else came in there and did the same shit
Ah.
for 30 minutes. That's
Ah.
why. Because that's been their experience, okay? So you gotta give them a heads up, let them know, hey, I'm really thorough about what I do, and this is how we do it, and this is gonna take an hour and a half. Is that okay? Because people have schedules, right? And they're gonna let you know right then and there. Because to me, I'm not gonna rush that appointment. If they don't want me there for an hour and a half, I'm going to reschedule that appointment, okay? Because it's too important to do your job half-assed, you know, and that's what you tell them, is you just basically say, look, you know what, I can appreciate that you want me to do this in a half hour, but it's really an hour, hour and a half worth of work. You know, we can reset this, reschedule it right now to a time that's convenient for you. And then they'll kind of know, you know, okay, maybe I can make some time or I can adjust this, or yeah, you know what, let's just reschedule because I got to be at the airport and I thought this was going to take 30 minutes and I got to go, you know. And there's nothing worse being in a house, right, when somebody's got to go, right? Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean you gotta go? I gotta sell you something. You know, I gotta do my thing. You know, that's why I'm here. You know, and it's not just selling them something; it's preventing disaster from their house. So you're actually, I mean, think about this for a minute. You're providing them with an awesome service. You're preventing one way or the other, whether it's heating and air or plumbing. You're preventing a bunch of stuff from happening. You're preventing them from getting sick, right? In the plumbing, you do that. In the heating and air, you prevent people from getting sick, right? You prevent them from losing money. Trust me, people are afraid to lose money. That's because they work damn hard for that money, right?
Yeah.
And you're there to protect their money, but you're also there to make money, right? And the two can coexist, right? So you can have a situation where you're making good money, right? And that customer's saving tens of thousands of dollars, right? So that's the perspective you gotta have, and it's a symbiotic relationship. Hey, they're gonna invest a little bit of money in me, and I'm gonna give them a return on their dollar like they've never had before. And that's the attitude that you approach it with. And then, you know, you win. It's a win-win for everybody. It should be a bigger win for them than for you. But always go in there with that perspective. So, establish the time. That's really, really, really important. I can't say enough about that. So once you've done all that, and that's really the foundation of the whole thing, now you get to the easy part. It's like going and looking at shit, right? I mean, that's the easy part. Because you've been trained. You know what, you're a plumber, or you're an HVAC guy, you know what to do, right? Or you pretty much should know what to do. So, we have a list. It's just kind of more of a reminder list than anything else. But it's good to go through because a lot of times, like say as an example, I go through a plumbing inspection. I always kind of start in the kitchen. I set the tone there, and that's where I'm most comfortable. In fact, that's where the homeowner's most comfortable. And I let them know, by the way, if I am doing plumbing, I let them know that I'm going to be turning off their water, okay, because I'm doing a water heater flush and how long and all that. So I want to stay on the HVAC side of this. But I'm going to go into the kitchen and maybe, you know, say, you know, turn on the system. I always ask them, you know, who turns on your furnace all the time? Who controls that, you know? And that'll tell you a little bit about who's making decisions in the house, right? And that's important stuff to know, right? How come if the homeowner says, oh, I never touch that thing, my wife does, or vice versa, right?
Yeah,
Why is that?
thermostat.
Why is that, right? Okay, so you know you get into that level of hey, you're gonna start asking questions now. So and questions are really, really important. So in the kitchen, you know, you go into the kitchen, you say, so I notice you have a lot of windows here, and because kitchens do, right? And there's ovens there and whatnot, so there's heat generated in there, right? You got exhaust vents, you got a lot of stuff going on in the kitchen, right? And that, by the way, is where everybody gathers, right? When there's a party and whatnot, everybody migrates to the kitchen, right? It just, you know, that, and there goes the psychology of, you know, sitting down at the kitchen table, right? Or at the bar stool at the kitchen, you know, because that's where everybody goes. That's where people are comfortable, right? So you want to put your customer at ease, start there, okay? And you might hear a lot of different places to start and this and that and everything else, but I like to go and then just into the kitchen and I say, all right, do you have any problems with, you know, it getting too hot or too cold in this area? No, everything's fine. Okay, fine, you know. Okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through the house right now and I'm going to check airflow on all the registers. And then you do that. You whip out your little tool, you check out the airflow. And we have really cheap tools that, you know, I forgot what they're called, those little blue things you drop into your meter, and it got a little fan on there, you put it up there.
Yeah.
Looks very professional, right? I don't know why I never use those, but, you know, but think about this, you know, because I always do this, right?
Yes.
The homeowner can do that, right? So think a little bit about what we're doing.
My anemometer's pretty good.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right. Like the-
Anemometer?
No, it's an anemometer.
Mine's
It's
a
mounted
anemometer.
Yeah, it's in your hand
Hey,
though.
Ryan, it's like that, Ryan, like when you sent me with that little thing, right? She thought I knew what I was doing, but that was the first time I ever used one of those things, checking the
Oh, the
phone.
cytrometer?
Oh,
Yeah, she was like,
yeah.
oh, wow.
Yeah,
She's
well,
like, you really know what you're doing. I was like,
it makes you,
yeah.
it makes you look more professional,
That
right?
cyclometer is everyone's best friend.
So-
Things look cool, it makes
But
you
these
look
are the
like
little
fresh.
things that we're gonna do that are gonna separate us, and I gotta tell you, one of the biggest things about sales, okay, communication skills, is to separate yourself from everybody else, right? And you could see, just by the few things we've talked about already, total separation, right, between the competition and us, right? It's immediate, you know, and you're also, you're priming the customer for a higher ticket also, okay? Because of the service that you're delivering. Because people understand, right, that they're gonna get a level of service and they're gonna pay for it. Everybody knows that good service costs money, right? And they know this is on the cheap. And I even sell these things when I do sell HPCs. I let them know, like, normally, this is not what that costs. You know, and I have friends like in North Dakota have a company, right? And they had a sale on furnace inspections. A sale for a furnace tune-up, right? $169. That was their sale price for one visit.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's put that in perspective, okay? Because that's a break-even point really at that point. You know, so we're losing money on these, right? And what I do is I let people know when I sell these to them, here's the truth about this product right here. This is the best investment you can make, and here's why. And then I break down all the savings and everything else, you know, by preventative maintenance, et cetera, but I let them know. And the reason we can afford to do this for so little, because this is about 4 or 5 hours worth of labor with these 3 visits. The reason we can do that is this. We have periods, especially here in Southern California, we've got literally nothing to do. And instead of sending my people home and not having an opportunity to make some money, I like to prevent bad things from happening to my homeowners. That's a win-win for everybody. They get to go out there, see if there's anything that needs to be done in that house. And there's, you know, hey, maybe 1 out of 10 are actually gonna need something, you know? So it's an opportunity for us. It's an opportunity also for us to make sure nothing happens to you. Like, you know, the drain's not gonna overflow in your attic and you're not gonna see rain coming out of your lights, you know, and et cetera, right? So that's how I build the value. I don't tell them they're gonna get 15 or 10% off on future purchases. Does that really matter to them? You know, I mean, that might be icing on the cake, but that damn sure ain't the cake. And a lot of people go around selling icing and they don't sell the damn cake. You know what I'm saying?
That's so true.
That's what you gotta focus on, is selling the cake. And that's what the cake is. And they need to understand that, hey, you know, think about it, do the math. You know, $189, and we're gonna be raising the price on these again. But $189, you get 3 visits, that's about 4 to 5 hours worth of labor. Yeah, that's cheap, right? That's very inexpensive, and this is why. So I let the homeowner know ahead of time that I'm gonna be looking for something to fix, okay? But I'm gonna be honest and have some integrity behind it. I'm not gonna tell them they have, you know, brass mites, which was a thing, believe it or not. When I was an apprentice coming up, there was a guy who would tell people they have brass mites under their sink, in their kitchen sink. And the women would react and like, oh, get rid of them, you know, and they'd replumb under their sink, all the drain work, right? There's no such thing as brass mites, right? But that's not what we're talking about, and the homeowner needs to know that's not why we're there, okay? But I'll never forget that guy, like, just, what? You know, and they used to laugh about this stuff all the time, the things that they used to tell customers.
At least dust mites are real.
Anyway, so you know, they kind of, now they have a very firm understanding of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and then you just be thorough about your inspection. One of the things on the HVAC side, most important, is know where the drain is. oh my God, I don't care if you're there on a furnace tune-up, you know, they're gonna fire that thing up, Southern California, right? You gotta know where that drain is, and don't assume that the last guy did, just because we've been there for 10 years. One of our best clients, we flooded out. You were there the other day, I think, right?
Oh, damn.
Not you, but was it you or did you go? Renard's?
Which one?
And Orange Park?
Lois Wareham?
Lois Wareham.
Yeah, we were there yesterday. You were there, somebody was there yesterday and then we went right after you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That lady,
Yeah,
she's
court-
so cool.
Courtyard. and-
We flooded that woman out.
Yeah, she wasn't, I remember going over there.
And then
Yeah.
I found out, I thought it was because the previous plumber didn't remove okay, so the tailpiece off of the, you know how, you guys, this is covering both trades. You know how the pipe comes out under the sink and ties into the pipe under the sink, right?
Yeah.
That's called a branch Y, okay?
Right.
So a lot of times there's a pop-up assembly, that's the drain that goes up and down, right? You want to fill your sink, right? So what happens is there's a pipe that goes into, you can't see it, but it goes into the branch Y. And it blocks the branch Y. So you can't put your finger through the branch Y because the tailpiece from the sink is blocking it. Some water will get through, but over a period of time that will plug up. One of our plumbers, who is no longer with us, put in a pop-up assembly and did not cut that down. Okay? So what happened was that branch Y eventually plugged up. And so I don't know how this happened, but we had multiple safeties because we replaced the furnace and the coil in the attic, right? Multiple safeties. And it backed up once, nothing happened, it just stopped working like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But somehow, some way, the T in the attic, you know the little standpipe
Mhm.
and the T, somebody removed it.
Oh, shit.
And it happened again. It backed up again, only this time, that T is before the safeties.
Yeah.
So guess what happened?
Oh,
Everything backed up out of that T.
Real quick.
Into the
Started
attic,
having that sand
And
pipe.
tens of thousands of dollars worth of water damage.
Oh, no.
This is a client of ours that we've been, like.
She does everything.
Yeah, I was there, I was
We
the
have a
first
tank
person on that call, first person. And I did, Kevin Davis invited me to that home. Okay, so I remember all of this. And I mean, I'm talking probably $40,000-$50,000 that she spent on us at least.
Wow.
Like 2 furnaces, 2 air conditioners, water heaters, multiple water heaters, water treatment.
Everything.
I mean, everything, angle stops, supply
Angle
lines,
stops, jetting,
just,
yeah.
drain cleanings, jettings, I mean, it just goes
Oh,
on
shit.
and on and on and on. We've done everything for this
They
woman.
really care for their house, you know.
Very much so,
Yeah.
and we flooded them out.
Oh,
So,
no.
I'm telling you, man, it's painful when I see stuff like this because I love my customers, I really do. And I'm there to protect them, I'm there to give them what they paid for. And when shit like this goes down, man, I'm so disappointed. I mean, I'm hurt. And that's what I'm saying, this is on an inspection, on an HVAC inspection, that is the most important thing that you know. And one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is that tailpiece, your plumbers, right, and you HVAC guys now know that's something you want to check for. And the way you do that, the way I always do it, is when I take that hose off, because I always blow it out, right? I take that hose off and I take a tool, screwdriver, nut driver, what have you, and I push it through there and I see if I hear a dink. If I'm hitting the pipe, right, I don't have to take the whole thing apart to see if they cut the tailpiece down. If I hear a dink, then I got a problem, right? So I'm taking that whole shit apart and I'm cutting that tailpiece down and I'm making it right. But also, when you're doing that, you're gonna find that that thing is probably filled with sludge too, because that's where they back up, okay? So that little, that bar fitting where that hose, you know, that 7/8 garbage disposal hose connects, right, you gotta take that apart and you should, on every single call, when you're in the HVAC trade, you should always know, most important thing to know about anything you do there that day is to know, where does that condensate drain terminate? You have to know where that terminates. You have to know. That is like the most important thing you do when you're on this call, right? So, and this is why. And we see it all the time. You know, we go to these jobs and easily $10, $20, $30,000 worth of damage. Easily. You know, I can go on and on and on about all the things that I've seen. Yeah.
So in that scenario, like, okay, knowing all of this, that we've been to the house and we've done everything, what do you say to a customer then in that scenario where we flooded them out, like, or what is the explanation that we really should give, or
Well,
that you would like to hear?
that, you know, I'm really, really sorry. I don't know, because you can't own it. You just say, I don't know what happened here, but I need to get a field advisor out here. Take a look at this. Now, if it depends on your position in the company, you may know what happened, okay? But you might not know the history, just like this one. I thought, okay, well, I didn't put it in that pop-up assembly. Our company didn't do it. And then I started reading 6 months later, and I'm like, holy shit. Luciana was out there. I looked through the file to see if we put it in. I couldn't find it. Then I found it. Luciana was the guy, went out there, put it in the pop-up assembly, and never cut that sucker down. Shoved it back up in there, boom, walked away. A year later, it backs up, okay? Didn't flood them that time. It flooded them the next time. Because somebody removed that pipe out of the T in the attic. You know, I mean, you spend all this money and time preventing shit like that. Yeah. So that's why this stuff is the most important stuff that you want to look at, is safety. I'm on a furnace call, that sucker's in the attic. I don't care if it's in the attic or in the hallway closet. If it's in the hallway closet, oh my gosh, you know, that can happen there too. Do they have safety switches, right? So safety is the thing that I'm looking for. Preventative maintenance. Because I feel really good about spending $400 or $500 of the customer's money and getting a $10,000 return on investment. Because that's what you're doing, right? Not to mention all the health issues. This is a lady who is health compromised, right? She's got cancer, she's got MS. I mean, come on, she's, right? You talk about fragile, and she's elderly, okay? And guess what we did?
Stress her out.
No, we threw, well, that, yeah, stress can kill people, right? We stressed the shit out of this woman. And then, oh yeah, here, let me sprinkle some mold on top of that stress for you, right? Because she had mold everywhere as a result of this, right? She had to have everything remediated. I mean, like, this is some painful, painful stuff for me. But the reason I'm bringing this one up, and I always think there's a reason for these things to happen, you know? And the best thing that I could do is just to show you on this call, the thing that you gotta take away is, don't assume, just because we've been going to this house for 6 or 7 or 8 years, that everything was done right. You know, because I just assumed just the opposite. I don't trust nobody.
I do too,
Yeah,
I'll be
I don't
honest.
trust
Sometimes
nobody.
Iggy is like, what's Sarah's? I'm over here inspecting everything.
Double
We
check,
just
double
replaced
check.
this, I don't care.
Yeah,
What is it? Yeah.
Right?
So I'm just paranoid, you know,
Right,
when you see
because-
so many problems.
because hey, okay, so we cleared a condensate drain last year. So? Does that, I mean, condensate drains are too damn small to begin with. A 3/4 inch PVC, you know, that's not big enough in my opinion, you know, for a drain. So those things freak me out, all right? So that's basically, we're out of time, but you get the flavor, and these are, I touched on the most important things. Everything else is kind of technical, and we can get into the technical side of, hey, really important to look at the return air. I always, man, my biggest thing, if they're on a stand, you know, meaning they're in a closet, or, you know, I take the return grill off the wall. And you're gonna find a beer bottle, a sandwich from 40 years ago. I mean, you're gonna find all kinds of stuff. Hair matted, all that stuff. When the homeowner sees that, what do you think they're gonna say?
That's disgusting.
Yeah, just leave it, right? No, they're gonna want that shit fixed, right? Okay, so you gotta find those things that are of value to the customer that, you know, they need, right? And they don't know that they need it until you tell them that they need it and show them that they need it. And they'll pay for it. Man, that's their biggest investment is their home typically. Most Americans, right?
Yeah.
They bust their ass for that, right? And they don't want it destroyed. So, anyway, that's why we're there, and that's what you need to impart on these people, okay, when you get there. And at the end of all of this, how did I do? Okay? Is this a 5-star service for you? If it's a no, ask them, what can I do to make it 5-star? I don't know. Might be take out the trash, empty the dishwasher. I don't know. Might be hanging pictures for me. I don't know. You know, it sure ain't gonna be the price. Okay? Right? If they say it's the price, boy, you sure didn't build the value, right? Okay? You didn't walk them through it. And it's important that they appreciate what you did, because if they don't, you didn't do your job, period. You know, and that's on you. 99.9% of everybody is going to appreciate the value of these inspections if you set it up right.
Mm-hmm.
So testimonials, real quickly. Who in here through a preventative maintenance, I don't care if plumbing, heating, air, who in here, what's the best money you've ever made on one of those, the highest ticket?
I make a lot of sales on preventative maintenance. Most of my sales are on preventative maintenance. I go there and I tell them, like, I can fix, like, I look at what's going on with their system and I tell them, give them a breakdown of what's wrong with it, and I tell them, hey, I can give you a new system, and I tell them, like, the value of how much that's going to be worth. Even if it is, like, $20,000, you're looking at something that will last over 25 years, you know. You break it down, $1,000 a year, $500 a year for air conditioning, not that expensive.
Yeah, that's a good way to break it down. Anybody have an experience where they went on an inspection?
Mine is just repipes. I was just
Repipes.
always super stoked, like, wow, okay, that was badass.
So yeah, 15,
I could
20
do
G,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Like 25,000 on a water heater flush, repipe, that's just like really hard to do. But you're right, if you look back on any tune-up or maintenance that you've done, the higher the ticket, the more time you spent.
Yeah.
So those flushes weren't like 1 hour, 2 hours, I'm talking like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Trying to sell that repipe.
Mhm.
5 hours, I remember it was Lawrence's flip, like my head was hurting from that sale.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was so much communication, you know? It was literally hours and hours of talking, going back and forth and answering her questions and all of her somewhat objections, or like, you know, just trying to wrap her head around why she's gonna spend this money, and it was like 5-6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like talking. But I knew I had it, so you just don't give up, and then it was all worth it.
Yeah.
But the 1 2 hour flushes, you might sell 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. And then, yeah, like tankless, filter, those are all like 4 hours typically, because once you start getting into the sales process,
Mhm.
after you're done your 2 hour maintenance,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing all the sales.
Yeah,
stuff
that's
and the
important.
build up.
Very, very
a long
important
time.
because
Talking money, you know,
she
like-
nailed it right there. She spent 2 hours on the inspection. And you know sometimes those sales are gonna go 2-3 hours,
Yeah.
right?
The higher the ticket.
But I could tell you, if you get, and that's why she knew, if you get a customer like that, who's literally gonna spend that time, what does that tell you about that customer? They're gonna buy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
all you have to do is remove all the obstacles in your way.
Yep.
And those are all based on fears, right? A confused mind does what? Says no, right? But you can take away all the clouds and make it a bright sunny day up here for them, you know, so they can see, hey, this is the right decision, damn, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get done.
Mhm.
And that's the craziest thing in the world, because you went there on a tune-up that they already paid for, they might have paid $89 or what have you know? And then you walk out with a check for 20 G.
That's like the best.
crazy, right?
These are just like,
It's the
what?
best, yeah, and that's like gold medal.
Even if it's 10 Gs or
That's
something,
like,
yeah.
I just won the Olympics, man.
More than the money, you're just
Standing
like,
tall.
it's like a sport.
Oh
You're
yeah,
like,
no,
hell
it
yeah.
is a sport, yeah, it's just that feeling inside.
Yeah, me and Lawrence were like
Yeah,
we won a championship or
Yep.
something.
yeah, well, you
But-
did.
yeah.
You did win a championship
Yeah,
in
yeah,
this
like, we
industry.
were like,
Yeah, that's what that is.
because that's exhausting too, going back and forth with the customer, and I'm just back and forth with the paperwork, oh, let me see what I can do. And I don't know if you guys ever, have felt that, but like, it's a lot of brain work, because you're doing this whole psychological game with the customer,
Mhm.
and you're playing this part, you're kind of giving them what they need. So it's like, oh, it's so much work, the sales, sometimes,
end of the
those
day,
kind of.
they're
So like,
Yeah.
last
got
week when
something
me
to
and
do.
Ryan, it makes a difference when you're gonna get paid on time, or if you're even gonna get, it takes that out of the question, because last week we went on the call, you gotta kinda like read the person. So she was like, oh, my husband is not here, I don't know how I'm gonna pay you guys. But she kept repeating, she kept going in circles.
That's when I.
So I
think
knew
that's
not
when
to
they
be
will.
pushy, and I said, oh, I could forge the check, and then I'll talk it out. And I said, look, you know what? You don't need to do all that. If that's okay with you, I could come back tomorrow and get a payment after you've spoken to your husband. I know he's in Germany. I know there's a time difference. I knew not to be pushing and stuff. And we ended up leaving the house, and Ryan was like, fucking Beatrice, we're not gonna get paid. I was like, hold on. Like, but the face was almost like, we gotta wait. Like,
Kidding? I talked to her husband
No, I know.
every day for the last
no, I know,
3
but I'm
weeks.
saying, because he wanted to get and I understand that. But I said, you know what,
Ryan's
call me in
always quick
case
to freak
anything
out.
changes. I get
That's
to
me.
the shop. Ryan had to go on another call. I get to the shop, she's like, oh, I hate to bother you, but I felt so bad, and I know you guys need to get paid. I borrowed some money from the sister. I don't know if she would. I'm like, well, in a matter of 15 minutes, I'm like, she probably had the money, but she was like guilty conscience or something. She called me. She's like, I have the check. I have it signed. I said, well, if you don't mind, I could pass by. I know it's a little late. It's about to be 7. You probably have dinner and stuff. But if you don't mind, I'm going down that way to visit my mom. If you don't mind, I could. That'll be better because tomorrow I'm gonna be in Baldwin Park and I don't know what. So I already knew. Shit, tomorrow it might be a possibility that we're not gonna get paid, so we better get paid. To me, it's like we're gonna get paid today, and so I went. It was like 7 o'clock, and I went over there and picked up the check. She was like the happiest person to give a check to anybody because she's like, oh my God, it's late and you still came. Like she almost thought, and she's like, oh, by the way, thank you for reminding me that you were gonna take that trash away. Some freaking tree, like fake tree, that I told her, you know what, I could throw it away. Like no worries, like. I didn't forget about it, but apparently she did when she walked outside. She's like, oh my gosh, I had forgotten about it. Thank you for remembering. So we got paid that same night. And then, like the next day, Omar was like, oh, did you pick up the check? I was like, oh, I actually went back last night for it. Like, oh, I mean, it makes a difference if you're going to get paid on time or late, right?
And that's what it is service. Like I said, it's what matters the most is, letting the customer know that we care about them. And that's so rare in our society anymore, unfortunately. And that's why we stand out. That's why we keep customers like Lois Wareham forever. Even after all this disaster, guess what? We're still there. Still a customer. I mean, that says something about you guys as well. So anyway, that's it for today. Thank you guys.